Hello there you guys, welcome to one of my videos. Manchester United identify 5 key transfer targets for the summer transfer window. So we obviously want a striker, we want a defensive midfielder, we want a centre half. We're also in search for a right back to provide competition for Juan Basaka. And there's been talks about a new goalkeeper. Now, there has been a lot of players on our agenda. So Erling Haaland, he's our centre forward transfer priority. Apparently, Erling Haaland is demanding wages of £350,000 from his next club. Now, Borussia Dortmund sporting director Michael Zorg has said Dortmund are prioritising finishing in the top 4 in order to keep Haaland. Now, there's been a lot of clubs in for him. It would be good to see Ole Gunnar Solskjaer reunite with the player. Solskjaer knows the player well. Solskjaer was the one that gave Erling Haaland his debut at just the age of 16 at Molde. And back in December 2019, Solskjaer and Woodward went to Norway to meet up with Erling Haaland to negotiate a possible move to Man United. Earlier on this season, Solskjaer did mention that he's following Erling Haaland's progress, and he did say he's keeping in touch with Erling Haaland. Dortmund are demanding in the excess of £100 million. He does have a release clause, but doesn't become active until next year. Mino Raiola, his agent, said earlier on this season that there's around 6 clubs in England that can afford him. Since his arrival at Dortmund, though, he has been a revelation. He's been at Dortmund 15 months now. Dortmund paid just £17 million for him. He's got a contract with Dortmund until 2024. But I'd certainly take him at Man United because 1, he knows Solskjaer well, like I said, and 2, he's young, he's got a lot of development in him, and 3, he would assure us goals. He would certainly exceed expectations if he comes to the Premier League. Now, Declan Rice, he's another player on our agenda. Now, it recently said that Solskjaer agreed with our new recruitment team that Declan Rice would be the perfect signing for the club. West Ham are demanding £80 million. So if we're willing to pay £80 million, then West Ham will probably allow him to go. There was narratives coming out earlier on this season saying that West Ham were considering lowering their asking price for Declan Rice to £50 million. He was relentlessly linked to a move to Chelsea last year. That's when obviously Frank Lampard was in charge. Declan Rice was Frank Lampard's top target. Frank Lampard was infuriated when he missed out on him. I'll give you the main explanations why I'd take Rice at Man United, because he's still young, got a lot of development in him, he's well proven in the Premier League, and his performances for West Ham have been outstanding. We're seeing him as a long-term replacement for Matic. Rice breaks up the play well. He's been at West Ham for 7 years now. He's made around 126 appearances in the Premier League and he's scored 4 goals. He's under contract with West Ham until 2024. Before he was at West Ham, he was at Chelsea. He was in their youth setup for several years. Now, you know the news on Nikola Milenkovic. Gazzetta Sport recently said that Man United are the clear favourites to sign Nikola Milenkovic. We've been in negotiations with his agent. He's valued at £30 million. And he's turned down the new contract at Fiorentina, and apparently he's already packing his bags, ready for the move to the Premier League. Liverpool have also expressed an interest. Nikola Milenkovic can play as a right back and a centre half, still only young. I haven't really watched much of him at Fiorentina, but he has been at Fiorentina a few years now. Fiorentina got him back in 2017. They paid £5 million for him from Partizan. Jules Conde, now he's a centre-half on our agenda. It recently said we've been handed a boost in our bid to sign Jules Conde because Sevilla have lowered their asking price for Jules Conde to £50 million. So not £20 million off, because originally Sevilla were demanding £70 million plus add-ons for Jules Conde. There was narratives coming out earlier on this season saying that we was unwilling to meet Jules Conde's £68 million release clause, but it mentioned that we was willing to pay around £61 million for him. La Razzion said earlier on this season that we were considered the favourites to sign him. His performances for Sevilla have been outstanding. He's got a contract with Sevilla till 2024. Sevilla paid £22 million for him from Bordeaux in the summer of 2019. So he's been at Sevilla now almost 2 years. And there's been a lot of other centre-halves on our agenda. Not so long ago, I give you the news on Pau Torres from Villarreal. Rafael Varane still on our agenda. Sergio Ramos apparently is going to be quitting Real Madrid, and we've been linked with him. But we need someone to go alongside Harry Maguire in our back line. And yes, regarding the goalkeeper situation, we have been looking at a few goalkeepers who could replace David De Gea. But Solskjaer has been facing a goalkeeping dilemma. Like I've said, I think Solskjaer needs to put Dean Henderson as our number one, because I think Dean Henderson is now reliable enough to become our number one, because he's done well in the games he's played in this season, and he has got that experience behind him because he enjoyed 2 successful loans with Sheffield United. Before the start of this season, Dean Henderson signed a 6-year contract with Man United. But who will replace De Gea if he leaves and we decide to get a goalkeeper to replace him? You know, we've been looking at Donnarumma from AC Milan. We was looking at that Mick Maignan from Lille. We've also been looking at Jano Black from Atletico Madrid. I heard recently we was looking at Nick Pope from Burnley, is it? But I don't think we need a new goalkeeper. Our transfer budget has been revealed for the summer. It's £80 million. A lot of Man United fans are shocked in that aspect. We know £80 million is nowhere near enough to get the players that we need. So Solskjaer's obviously planning to sell 4 players in the summer, so that bolsters our transfer budget, and Ole hopes to raise as much as £60 million. So that would take our transfer budget to £140 million. But this year's summer transfer window is the biggest in Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's managerial career. Obviously, Solskjaer did mention earlier on this season we may not do business as usual due to the pandemic, but he said he's only interested in bringing in players that will be a perfect fit for the club. I'm expecting Solskjaer to get the backing he deserves in the summer. Because obviously we've got John Murtough, who's our new director of football, and John Murtough knows the club inside out because he's been at Man United for like 7 or 8 years. And we've got Darren Fletcher, that's our technical director, and he knows the club through thick and thin. He endured 2 decades as a player for Man United. But Man United made the right decision in bringing in the director of football, because I did say it's one of the structural changes that we need at the club. And yes, Solskjaer's had the transfer summit with a new recruitment team, and obviously, he's been discussing our transfer targets, and he's been discussing our summer transfer plans in general. Woodward did a statement the other week after our latest quarter financial results, and he says the progress by Solskjaer and the players this season is clear. So in that aspect, Woodward is backing Solskjaer. I don't think Solskjaer's been backed enough in the transfer windows he has endured so far. He has endured 4 transfer windows as permanent Man United manager, and Woodward has come out several times to show his support for Ollie, and he did say towards the end of last year he will back him with a long-term plan centred around summer transfer windows. And even enjoying them bad periods, Woodward assured that Solskjaer's job was safe. But the board has been one of the biggest problems at the club for several years. Reflecting now poor our recruitment policy's been, we've also overpaid for players, and the managers just haven't got the players they've wanted in, since Ferguson retired. So this is why, we have been very, very critical of the board. Woodward's been at the club since 2012. The Glazers have been at the club since 2005. But yeah, Ollie's set to have his final say on our transfer incoming deals. Like I updated you on my last video, Solskjaer's declared winning trophies as an ego thing. He says clubs like Man United, trophies no longer prove success. And he also said that in regards to some other managers and other clubs. But Solskjaer needs to win a trophy at Manchester United this year, because obviously that would mark more progress. So I'm basically saying the exact same thing as what Gary Neville recently said. We haven't won a trophy since 2017, and a club of our stature needs to be winning trophies. The FA Cup is a chance of a trophy, and the Europa League is a chance of a trophy. Top 4 is our aim in the Premier League. I kind of sure now we'll finish in the top 4, reflecting on that 1-0 win against West Ham recently. But I've already said to you, if we win a trophy this season and we finish second, and I'll turn around and say that represents a good season for Man United, and that gives us something to build on going on into next season. Man United are planning for a long-term future under Solskjaer, but I've said so many times I don't think Solskjaer is the long-term manager for Man United. I hope, though, I'm proven wrong. But I think he does deserve at least another season at the football club. This is his second full season at the moment. Solskjaer has agreed to sign a new contract worth £9 million a year. So we've obviously given him a pay rise. Sources at Old Trafford said not so long ago that talks are set to begin on any day on the new deal, because later on this month Solskjaer will enter the final year of his 3-year contract. But I think Solskjaer does deserve a new contract reflecting on the progress he's made. Maybe eventually we'll sack Solskjaer, but the question is, if we do eventually sack Solskjaer, who will come in to replace him? You know, Solskjaer may never get sacked. You don't know, do you? You know, he might be here for as long as he's here, and then, you know, he'll just leave. Don't forget, Mauricio Pochettino was the favourite to replace Solskjaer. That's when he was under really, really bad pressure. Pochettino was the favourite to take over after Jose Mourinho got sacked. But I've probably got to turn around and say that Solskjaer is the best manager since Ferguson. He's been Man United manager over 2 years. Reflecting how long he's been at the club, he has gained some managerial experience and he has learnt quite a bit on the job. Before he was with us, he was at Molde. He won a few Norwegian titles at Molde, but they're not a big club. What?
If you go get them later, I can pay you tonight.
Alright.
For windows.
Alright.
Do you know that Revel Street, that number 3?
Yeah.
It's them 2 bottom ones we do.
Yeah.
And that bloke let us in through back garden, didn't it?
Yeah.
It's that one, they owe me $750.
Yeah.
They owe me $250 from last month, and then there's that no one next door, leaded windows. That teacher, if she's in. That 48, what we've done for ages. And that knobhead on Victoria Park Grove.
Yeah.
And then I'll pay you tonight for windows.
Yeah.
What do you know tomorrow when you go to the bank? Just tell me you want to draw some money out.
Alright.
But you'll have to check your ID. Bev will show you what to check up. They'll give you your money, it's your money. It went in yesterday.
Yeah.
I think it's 200 quid you owe on bills, or 202.
Yeah.
And then obviously the rest of it, 140 is yours, or 142, whatever it is. I'm going to ask you to go get some milk from the spare. I'll pop up way from school.
Alright.
Gina's sent me a picture and she said tell you to show you it or something. Boris Johnson on tell it tonight. Something about a vaccine.
No, I'm not bothered, Dad. I ain't interested, mate. Yes, where was I now? But yeah, he was at Molde, but they're not a big club, and before then he was at Cardiff, and his record at Cardiff was absolutely disastrous. You know, he did get Cardiff relegated. But yeah, my 2 big concerns about him is his decision making, because in a lot of his games at Man United he's been tactically naive, especially in a lot of the big games. But there's been some games where he's showed tactical flexibility, but he's got to show that persistently, and you know, he hasn't got a proven pedigree as a manager, so that's my other concern about him. Did we give him the job too soon? You know, we give Solskjaer the job permanently, you know, reflecting on what he did in the 3-month period when he was the interim manager, because he won 14 games out of 19 in all competitions. But we've got to credit him in quite a few aspects. We really, really have. You know, we're second in the Premier League. We're in the FA Cup quarters. We're in the Europa League last 16. We've got a fantastic away record in the Premier League. Haven't lost away from home in the Premier League for over a year. Got us to the EFL Cup semi-final this season. Did well last season, his first full season. Made some good signings. Has spent almost £300 million as Man United manager, and he has got rid of a lot of players since he got recommended in. So there you go. And yeah, we are going to sell players in the summer transfer window. I think we'll sell more than 4 in the summer transfer window. Now, I think there's a good chance we'll sell Juan Mata in the summer, because Juan Mata's current contract expires in the summer, but there is an option to trigger his contract for a further year. Solskjaer said earlier on this season that he's not surprised that Juan has linked with a move away from the club. But Juan doesn't get in our team now. Earlier on this season, he rejected an 18 million a year contract offer to play in Saudi Arabia. But I think Matt's had a good career with the club. He's been at the club over 6 years. We got him in a deal worth £40 million from Chelsea back in 2014. Edison Cavani, I think there's a good chance that he'll leave the club in the summer. Solskjaer said, didn't he, not so long ago, that Cavani's closer to Boca Juniors than Man United. But he said prior to that his future's not been decided. Now Cavani's father came out not so long ago and said that Cavani is unhappy at the club and he's not comfortable in England and he wants to leave Man United. Now reports in Argentina said the other week that Cavani wants to leave Man United after one season and he wants to go to Boca Juniors on a 3-year contract. Now, earlier on this season, it said Cavani wanted to stay at Man United beyond this season and Solskjaer said he was set for contract extension talks. We got Cavani on a free transfer last summer, signed a 1-year contract with the club with an option of a 2nd year. But he's made a fantastic impact since he's come in. Hasn't played in recent games due to injury and obviously hasn't travelled to Italy for the game tonight because something happened in his training session. A lot of United fans are saying that we need to sell Anthony Martial in the summer because Martial has been out of form for the vast majority of this season. He's had chances but he hasn't converted them. But Solskjaer said earlier on this season he's backing Martial to rediscover his form and he's been impressed with his work rate. If we sell Martial in the summer, I reckon we'd get 30 mil. Martial was good though last season and he was good in his debut season under Van Gaal. He's been at the club over 5 years. We could sell Matic in the summer because he isn't one of our first choice midfielders. I've always had my strong reservations about Matic because he's always been a slow player. And he's ageing up. Matic has been at the club almost 4 years. We got Matic in a deal worth £40 million from Chelsea back in 2017. Pogba, I think he'll stay potentially past the summer, so I'll disregard him. Phil Jones, I want him to leave this year. Surprised he didn't leave in January, but Solskjaer came out and said he's going to be given a second chance. Jones doesn't get in our 11. Jones is the only outfield player that's still with us from the Ferguson era. He's been out with injury for over a year. Romero, I want him to leave as well because he's like our third choice goalkeeper. De Gea, there's a good chance we'll sell him in the summer. So like I've said, we can make Dean Henderson our first choice goalkeeper. Recent narratives did say we are willing to listen to offers for De Gea. If we sell him in the summer, I reckon we'd get around £50 million for De Gea. De Gea hasn't been in goal in recent games because not so long ago he was out due to personal reasons. Obviously, he's back in Manchester now and not so long ago he was self-isolating. Earlier on this season, Solskjaer warned De Gea that his number 1 jersey is under threat. This is De Gea's 10th season at the club. He's been a long servant at Man United. A few years ago, he was the best goalkeeper in the world, but in the last couple of years, he's made calamitous mistakes. So reflecting on that, he has become a liability. But as you all know, De Gea's won everything domestically at the football club. There's some United fans that are saying we should sell Victor Lindelof in the summer. And I can see us getting rid of Lingard permanently and Diego Dalot permanently. Donny Van Der Beek, you already know the news on him. Apparently Donny Van Der Beek feels loved at the club. But recent narratives said that Donny Van Der Beek wants to quit Man United after one season due to the lack of game time. And he said he wanted to hold showdown talks with Ed Woodward over his future. Now, earlier on this season, Solskjaer did make an admission saying that Van Der Beek is unhappy at the club due to his lack of game time, but he promised him more game time at Man United. Most of Van Der Beek's appearances have come from the bench, surprisingly. He's only started 2 games in the league this season. Back in January, ESPN said we rejected several loan offers for Van Der Beek. We was reluctant to let him go. Ronald de Boer actually urged him to leave the club to boost his chances for the Euros. We got him in a deal worth £40 million, and Van Der Beek can play in 3 different roles, so he's versatile. I like him though. We need to use him more. He's a good player. And like I've said to you already, we've got good players, and there's players that are really improving at Man United. You've got Dean Henderson. He's done well in the games he's played in this season. You've got Luke Shaw, who's been our player of the season by far. Shaw's had a good career at Man United, apart from his injuries. He's been at the club over 6 years. And Stu remains our first choice left back, despite the arrival of Alex Telles. Eric Bailly, he's done well in the games he's played in. Solskjaer recently confirmed that we was in talks with Eric Bailly over a new contract. My only element of concern about Bailly is injury prone, so in that aspect he is a liability. And Juan Basaka, he's done well in games this season where he's actually showed some good attacking intent. He's got into some good crossing positions, and defensively he's been superb, but he's also enjoyed some poor games where he's lacked that attacking intent and he's been caught out too many times. Fred, aspects of his game have improved. McTominay, he's also a decent player, but McTominay is not at that level as I want him to be as yet, so hopefully he can emulate that level I want him to be at. Was getting the best out of Paul Pogba before he got that thigh injury, but the good news is now Paul Pogba has returned. Should be starting tonight against AC Milan, because Pogba has recently been training. He has been a big miss as Paul Pogba, because we've lacked creativity in that midfield without him, and we have been far too defensive. Bruno Fernandez, he's made the difference since he's come to Man United. He's our best player, and I've got to say, he's the best signing we've made since Ferguson retired. In most of Bruno Fernandez's games, he's been very, very consistent, but there's been a few games where he has looked off the pace. So at some point, he does need a rest. There was narratives coming out the other week saying that Fernandez was refusing to sign a new contract at Man United until he has assurances over the club's transfer plans. Greenwood, he's done very, very well since he broke into our first team squad. Cavani's made an impact since he's come in, and Rashford's a very good player as well. We just need to keep Marcus Rashford out wide on the left, because that's where he's more effective. So I did say, didn't I, analysing our current squad, it is good enough to finish at least in the top 4. But as it stands at the moment, not good enough to win the league. You can identify the weaknesses in the squad straight away, can't you? But in regards to Solskjaer, I think he's handled things very, very well, because we've enjoyed very bad periods under him where you can turn around and say, yeah, he was lucky not to be sacked. Solskjaer knew when he'd taken over at Man United it was going to be a massive job for him, despite him knowing the club well. Solskjaer, don't forget, is inheriting players from other managerial eras. But, Solskjaer's got rid of players that Mourinho brought in. Some of them he's got rid of a couple of players we had from the Van Gaal era. So there you go. So anyway, guys, that's everything to update for today. I will be on for match reaction either after the game tonight or tomorrow morning. Drop your comments, likes below on the channel. If you do, consider subscribe as always, and take care. God bless. See you all again very, very soon.